So we just talked about Rick Carlisle extolling his virtues. I will tell you what I said in the previous segment, Tim. If he keeps it up, the Knicks might ask for permission to hire him, And I don't know.
Well, they've asked everybody else's permission, Rich. I'm surprised they haven't reached out to you.
Well, Tim, I'm going to give you an exclusive. They did. And I gave them, as Shams would say, a firm rejection because I kind of like my lane that I'm in. What are the Knicks up to, do you think, Tim? Like, what is happening here, man?
No idea. This is obviously been handled incredibly poorly. I didn't agree with the firing in the first place.
You didn't.
I'm not there every day, so I don't. It's hard to know what the tenor and tone of the team was. I do know this: they just went further than they had in 25 years. You come off one of your most successful seasons in the last 2.5 decades. That usually doesn't result in getting fired. Ironically, I believe if they had, say, played the Celtics, a healthy Celtics team, let's say Tatum doesn't get hurt, and somehow Boston wins that series in 7 tough games, a game 7 at home, they beat the Knicks by 2. I have a feeling that would have felt better to Knick management than getting to the conference finals and losing to the Pacers, because it was a foregone conclusion, I believe, that the Pacers don't belong in this series with us. And to me, it was like, have you been watching this team for the last few months? I really feel like it was a cumulative effect of the letdown feeling that everybody had, thinking Celtics are out of the way, the Cavs have been taken care of for us. This is our path to the finals, and it didn't happen against a red-hot team in Indiana. Of course, that game 1, it was very difficult to recover from that game 1 loss to the Pacers, coming back the way they did in that game. I didn't like it. I thought it was a knee-jerk reaction to it. And I think if you make that move, you better have a very clear idea of what you're going to do, who you're going after, and that you can get that person. With all this stuff getting leaked, so now what are you telling me? They're going to reach out to 5 or 6 people, and then they're going to sit up there at the press conference and tell you that this was the guy they wanted all along, whoever this ends up being? That's the problem with stories like this when they get away from you as an organization, and I think that's what's happened. Your guess is as good as mine who their next coach is going to be. All I know is it's not going to be the guy that they initially wanted, and that's going to be an awkward situation going into that job in a media market like that.
So who do you think would be? You don't have to give me a name if you don't want. You can if you have one. The style or what you think the Knicks would need, and who would that person be if you're willing to give, based on what you've seen what the Knicks are, Tim?
Yeah, names are hard because they're so hypotheticals, and you end up just pulling something out of thin air. Like most of it, that's why I even hate stuff like around the trade deadline and all that. And it's just 99% of what you're discussing can't come to fruition.
Right.
So names are tough. Well, what I will say is this. I do think they need to look at as great as Jalen Brunson is, I think they need to look at stylistically the way that their team plays and the reliance on his dribbling the basketball and his usage rate. I do think you can get into situations against really good defenses that's going to make it tough for them to operate in that way. I know they've got defensive issues with he and Towns, and that's been talked about a lot, and how much better they were with Mitchell Robinson on the floor and how that addressed some of that. That's just going to be there because of who those guys are as players. They're great offensive players. I think that's a style that can bog down when you get to play a great defense. So I think stylistically, if you can maybe get his usage rate down a little bit where the ball moves through the air a little bit more, that would be something I'd look at going forward. Look, they've added all the talent they really need to compete and contend. You go out, you get Anunoby, you get Mikal Bridges, you get Karl Anthony Towns. My goodness, to go with a guy that's first team All-League and Jalen Brunson, that's enough talent. And now it's a matter of finding a style that can, one, compete with Boston. That's really still the barometer in the East, in my opinion, a healthy Boston team. And then how do you get the most out of your pieces offensively? Because I'm not sure that they really did that.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.